Hello friends and welcome back to another video. Today we are making some good old Dollar Tree crafts. If you are new, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you don't miss out on my future videos. Let's get started. For this first one, we are starting off with this wood house that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. It came in a pack of 3 and I did get it on clearance, but there's lots of wood blank stuff in the wood pile section at Hobby Lobby, so definitely check it out. Or I don't know, there's been lots of wood decor pieces that you can find at thrift stores you can make over. Anyway, we're starting off with just plain wood here, and I am going to paint this. I'm using a chippy brush, and I'm using the not super great Dollar General white chalk paint. I've talked about this before, but it's in my stash, and so we're going to use it. We're not wasting it. I am trying to do a pretty good coat, but not a thorough coat, so hence the chippy brush, and dabbing a little bit of the paint off of my brush. But on the sides of the house, I'm going down, and then when I'm doing the roof, I'm going to do some horizontal, just so that the brush strokes kind of match what I feel like it should. Anyway, just a little tidbit of information. And then I have that white chalk paint that's not super great from Dollar General, and some truffle, which is a Waverly chalk paint color, and some baking soda, and I have mixed that together to give ourselves a textured paint. I'm now using some Dollar Tree stencils. Now, these are self-adhesive stencils. I have used this particular one before. Let me just give you my review of them. I'm using them. I like them, but I will give you a couple little thoughts on them. But I am going to just put this down, and we're going to stencil with a little pouncer brush that textured paint, and so it's going to be like a little textured stencil. We're going to do that on 2 sides of the house. These stencils are nice. This didn't stick as well because this is not the first time I've used it, so I'm trying to be careful because it was picking up a little bit as I was pouncing. That is why I'm being a little bit more careful. And they're like delicate in the design. They're delicate in that sense, but I would say they're not delicate in that they don't tear easily. Some of them that I've used have been more of a one-time use, but usually they come in multiples in a pack from Dollar Tree. So I think for the price, they're not bad, but I wouldn't expect to be able to use them, over and over again like other stencils. So that's just my thoughts. But you might be like me and have a lot of Dollar Tree stuff in your stash. So that's just kind of my review on the product. If you've got it, definitely try and use it. Give it a good cleaning when you're done, and just be gentle, and you stick it back on the material that it came in and hope that you can use it again. But we're going to do that to both sides. I wanted a little chimney for my house, and this right here, let me know real quick down below, pause the video, do you know what that piece is from? Okay, it is the tail to the wooden snake from Dollar Tree. And I had used the body of the snake to make a wreath ornament, and I had the tail sitting in my stash, and I just needed an angle cut. I will say this little miter saw, I've never done the angle cut on it, and that was a little bit harder for me, and I ended up stop filming. You can see the camera was shifting, which is why, like, from the motion of it. Anyways, it wasn't the easiest thing, but I got the job done. I've only ever done straight cuts on it, and this one was a little bit harder, but I did cut it down and smoothed it out with my little finger sander. The one thing I like about this box, the miter saw box, is that, I'm really not afraid I'm going to cut my finger off. So it was a little bit more laborious, but I wasn't worried about hurting myself. And then I'm just going to use the same paint mixture for the roof because it complemented the design or the colors of the house, and I had plenty of it mixed up. I'm just going to use my heat gun to dry that down so that I can do the other end. I've said this before, if you don't have a heat gun, you can use a hairdryer just on low temp. I use my heat gun usually on a very, very low temp anyway. And then I just sanded the end just to get any paint that was on there off so that it would attach really well. And I'm using this Gorilla household glue. It is one that I reach for often. It works well. I probably got it at Walmart. Couldn't tell you for certain. But that's it for this little house. I like the design and the texture of the design. And I just like how it came out. So let me know what you guys think down below about this little house decor piece. Continuing to craft my stash, I have this piece from the Dollar Tree. This actually came from my mother's craft stash, but I'm happy to utilize it. And so I'm just going to heat that up. This sticker came off super easy. Man, why can't everything come off that easy? Like this little front piece here. This was from their Valentine's stuff. And so I had this love word on here. And usually with Dollar Tree stuff, you just heat it up, get the glue soft, you can scrape it off, and it's no big deal. This took a little bit of work, okay? I'm not gonna lie. I also was trying to be careful because this little wood pocket, because it's a pocket, there's nothing behind it. That was a little fragile, so I was trying to not put too much pressure. Anyway, heat gun, scraper, sander, finger sander. I wouldn't use a power sander on it. I don't think the wood is strong enough to handle that, but I got the job done, and that's what matters. But it did take a little bit, and you'll see here, I think I fix it later in the video, but the little pocket where the grooves are on the side kind of came open, but we'll fix it later. I did spritz this with a little bit of water because one, I'm using a really thick paint. No, wait, this is the Dollar General paint too. It's kind of thick. It just doesn't cover very well. But also the wood was so dry. So I did spritz it just a little bit. And I'm going to give this a coat. If you wanted full coverage with that Dollar General paint, you kind of need two coats, but I wasn't worried about it. And then I pulled out these transfers. These were given to me by a friend, just some of their leftovers. And this one was a half of a flower. Somewhere there was probably the other half of the flower because that's how they go in those transfers. But I thought it was cute just hanging over the edge here on this pocket. And so I'm going to transfer that on. I've said it before, I will say it again, and I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but I am crafting my stash. I do want to get some new things to craft with, but I also don't want to spend money if I don't need to. So before I buy a bunch of new things, we're going to be using what we've got. And I thought this was a really pretty flower, great for summer, great for fall, kind of great for any time as well. But because I like a little bit more of a rustic look, we're going to cover this whole thing with antique wax. Now, that looks crazy, but it's okay. We're gonna brush it on, wipe it back, and then it's much more muted. Now, I did go down inside the pocket a little bit because at first I wasn't sure how it was gonna be displayed, if I was going, how much inside you'd be able to see. But I was really excited to put that over the flower. You can see it's still a very pretty color, but it just kind of mutes the whole tone of the piece down a little bit. But of course, those are optional steps, but just something to keep in mind as you might be working on your own project. Now, this sign here is from the Dollar Tree. I've previously done something with it, so you can see it's a little bit rough. So I'm gonna go in with some paint and a chippy brush. Once again, the not really good quality Dollar General paint kind of working out here because I didn't want it to be super thick that it was going to take away all of the wood grain look to this piece. I just needed to touch up what was scuffed. So I don't know, I may end up buying the garbage paint again. But we're going to, once that's all dry, I'm going to just attach this pocket to this. And this is a wall hanging piece. As you can see, there's some twine at the top of this. But I just think that adding this little pocket on here makes it a little bit more of a substantial piece because it's bigger. There you can see this pocket was coming undone. So I'm using some super glue, wood glue, I think is what it's called. I did get that from the Dollar Tree. I'm not sure if they still carry that. I should look. But any glue would work. And then I didn't want to hold it together waiting for it to dry. So as I'm holding it together, I just poured some hot glue on the inside to kind of, once that cooled, knew that would hold it together while it was really drying. But I didn't want to use that on the outside because I didn't want you to be able to see the hot glue. Anyway, that's my reasoning behind the madness here. And I'm just going to attach this to the sign with some hot glue. It will hold plenty good. And like I said, attaching this to a larger piece just makes some of those smaller Dollar Tree items make more of an impact. And I'm just going to use some scraps. I think this is boxwood, maybe from Walmart. I don't know, but I'm just going to fill this box, and I am just making sure the taller pieces cover the hole that was at the top of the wood piece. I could have filled it in, but I knew it would get covered up with greenery. And I think this is really pretty. It will be hung up on the wall at some point, but I just have this kind of leaning right now to show you, and I love how it came out. So let me know what you guys think about this one. Also, stay tuned here. I'm going to have a quick announcement for you, and then we'll be back to our crafts. Hey guys, so this is not my normal setup for popping into a video, but we have a thunderstorm rolling in and I really need to finish up this video. So my lights have already flickered a couple times. Let's just do this. But I wanted to hop in and give you guys a couple of announcements because I know that not everyone sees my posts on the community tab. So first, if you're not seeing them, go ahead and go to my page and then click on posts and see them. And if you interact on them, hopefully YouTube will start showing them to you automatically. But I did want to let you know a couple of things. I have started a this is already YouTube. I have started a Facebook page, Simply Enjoying Crafting, same name, and I would love for you to come join me over there. I am hoping to do some more interactions over there, sharing different things that I'm sharing on my channel. Sometimes it might be the same thing. That might be where my lives are in the future, so make sure you go over there. I will have the link down in my description box of this video and hopefully in all of my videos going forward. Also, if you did not see, I am really excited to be a part of an event. I'm going to read this really quick so that I don't say it wrong, but I'm going to be a presenter at the Christmas in July craft party, and this is a really neat event. Again, the link is going to be down below for you. It is a free online event, and there is an option of paying for some extras and like longer access to the videos. It is a Christmas preparation event. It's not all just crafts. There's other preparation stuff. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera. I don't have my tripod here. Just wanted to film this really quickly. But I want to make sure you take a look at that. There will be some lives on YouTube, not on my page, on someone else's. And I'm hoping to be participating in one of the live panels. There will also be some interaction on a group page on Facebook. But the primary event is going to be basically you register and then I guess you'll get a link. It'll be online, like on a website. And I'm excited about it. I hope that you are excited about it. You know, get our prep done for Christmas so that we can just enjoy the season when it arrives. But check out those links down below. I wanted to make sure you didn't miss out on them. And let's get back to the crafting for today's video. This is one of those canvas signs from the Dollar Tree, and you could do this with any that you find. And I've seen it before, but I don't know that I've actually done it myself. We're going to do the reverse canvas without really changing a whole lot, but I did want to share this with you. So I'm going to start by just pulling off our little hanger on the back. Save those, whether you reattach it here or on another project. They're great to have on hand. And I am trying to very carefully pull out all of the staples here because if for other projects, if I wasn't using the canvas or I wasn't using the whole canvas, then I might just cut it out with my knife, but I didn't want any of the nails in the frame, and I wanted to have as much of the canvas intact as possible. So I'm using a small flathead screwdriver and then my needle nose pliers to pull them out. A good old-fashioned staple remover would probably work well here too. Just be careful. A lot of times these canvas prints come on this MDF frame, which you can see here, and they're just not, they're not wood. They're not always super sturdy, so just be careful. But we're going to set our canvas to the side because we are going to be using this more or less as is and placing our frame on top. First though, I wanted to paint the frame, and because like I've done with the wood, I wanted to wet it a little bit because my paint was really thick. You can see I'm spritzing my paintbrush, spritzing in the bottle. I don't know if you should really spritz the MDF. It didn't cause any problems for me. You definitely don't want to soak it though, or maybe it's not MDF, maybe it's pressed particle board, pressed board. I'm not sure, but I just did this. Again, my paints are old, my paints are wearing out, but I want to use them. And for most projects, even though it is thick, I am able, like here, what am I doing here? I'm really just trying to work this out. And there's even chunks of this, but in the chalk paint, that even with the chunks, if I had a flat surface, like I'm using an old plate here, it's a styrofoam plate that also at one point had blue paint, but the blue paint's fully dry. When you have a flat surface to press the paint out, you can get rid of the clumps and it's totally paintable. So that is what I'm doing, but essentially I'm just leaving that in there to let you know if you have old paint that you think you can't use, some of it you can. I don't know how well that works with acrylic paint, but with the chalk paint, I'm salvaging it and it's working and we're gonna use it. So paint the whole frame black. I thought it complemented nice with the print here. Now the key here is wanting to get this on so that the canvas is nice and taut and straight. So I'm going to use hot glue and I'm going to just kind of follow the crease of the line of the canvas and go from there. Now, there have been times where I've just put glue on the entire frame and then put it down flat on top of it and hoped for the best, but I wasn't convinced that it would end up straight and look the way I wanted. So I was taking the time to try to make this a little bit better. I also wanted to make the back look as nice as possible. So I'm trimming off the excess canvas kind of as I go, and then trying to keep it a straight line. It's not really gonna matter. It's gonna be hanging on a wall, nobody's gonna see it. But it is nice, especially if you were going to sell this, to try to have it, look nice even from the back. And what I'm doing is just a little bit of hot glue at a time each side, and then just working it down. This way I have full control over it. You can see I am left the extra canvas on the bottom, which is up at the top now, but that's going to be the bottom of the frame, and I'll show that in a minute why. But just wanted to show you, it's not a complicated DIY, but sometimes when you see somebody do a craft and they just do it really quick, you're like, oh, that's easy. And then you go to do it and you're like, why am I having problems? And they are not. So that is why I like to leave some of this stuff in for you to just be able to see kind of some of the little details in that. One thing I found that helped, because I did trim down the canvas because I didn't want it to be seen from the front, but I didn't want my fingers to get burned, is I tried to put the hot glue towards the inside of the frame, like towards the inside edge, I guess you could say. And I did that there, and that's why I left a longer piece of canvas so that I had something to hold on to. And then I just didn't put hot glue all the way across the depth of the frame so that I could still cut it off. I hope that makes sense. I didn't want to belabor this thing for you, but I was trying to explain the why behind it. And then I decided to add that little sawtooth hanger back on. So I am just finding the center of the frame. And these are super easy. You can also just buy these, but I just pulled it off and put it back on. You hammer it in, and I will be hanging this up in my home. And that is it. And I just think it looks a little bit nicer than it did when you get it just from the Dollar Tree. So if you find a print you like and you want to switch it up, very, very easy to do. I love this one. I love the colors on it. Of course, I love the scripture on it. And it's going to look great hung up on my wall. I haven't decided where I'm putting it yet, though. Okay, this is another sign from the Dollar Tree, and it has already kind of come apart. So in a couple ways, this also came from my mom, so I don't know if she took it apart planning to make it over, but some of the border pieces came off, so I'm just going to reattach that. Now, I have done these before in the past. Same sign, I don't remember if it said gather or a different word, but the same thing where it's like a 3D frame, and they do come apart fairly easily. This one just came apart in ways that it wasn't supposed to, but it wasn't like torn, so I was able to just put it back together. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Leanne, and I enjoy sharing budget-friendly DIYs on this channel. So if you have not yet subscribed, whether this is your first time here or not, if you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel. Not only does it help me out, but it also helps YouTube know what type of things you might want to see. And a lot of people watch YouTube from their homepage. And if you're only watching YouTube from your homepage, you got to let YouTube know what you want to see. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, leave me comments. The more engagement you give with my channel, the more YouTube is like, hey, whoever you are, you're wanting to watch these videos. So there's my little plug. All right, so while that is all drying, we've reassembled it. I am using Celery by Waverly. Once again, really trying to make my old paint work because we don't want to waste money here. I said we do budget-friendly DIYs, and that is what we do. So we are going to work it out, and we're gonna do this. Okay, so this here is the back of the sign. You're gonna see once we put it together how it originally was, if you kind of didn't pick up on that in the beginning. But it's hard because I am watering down my paint a little bit, which does make it thinner than usual. So I'm gonna do 2 coats of that. This doesn't really matter how good of a coat this is, honestly, because a lot of it's gonna be covered up, but I wanted a really pretty color for anything that is going to peek through in the end. This is a project I had a lot of fun with, and when I came up with the idea, I was pretty excited. So I hope that you guys enjoy it. So here is the second coat, and then we're going to set that aside to dry. If you have made it to this point in my video, I always say I'd love it if you left me a comment, but sometimes people are like, I don't know what to say. You can tell me what your favorite DIY is, but if you have nothing to say, or you just want to let me know that you came to this point in the video, leave me a smiley face emoji down below, and then I'll know that you made it to the end. All right, so now our top piece here, I have it was just a pretty gray, but I wanted to change the color a little bit, so I'm using Mineral by Waverly chalk paint. This I even bought in a small bottle, and I bought too much paint at once, guys, because even with a small bottle, I was getting to the very bottom of this, and it was a little chunky. But I'm gonna make it work, and we're gonna give this thing a full coat of paint. And at first I started out just painting the surface, but when I have a hard time staying off of the edges, I ended up just doing the edges. So I did the front, I did the edges of the letters, and I even did the back side. At first, I wasn't sure how much of it you might be able to see from like the side. I definitely painted more of it than I needed to, but whatever. I made it look good and complete. If I wanted to leave it right there, I'd attach it right here, and that is how it would look, just like it came, but just different colors. But I wanted to fill in that gap between the back and the front. So I pulled out these florals, and they are probably from the Dollar Tree. I'm also gonna pull off the leaves here. I just pulled them right off of their stems, and we're gonna make ourselves, I don't even know what to call it, a little floral box frame. Right now I'm just trying to get the general idea, and I'm like, okay, yes, I like that. So now I need to decide how long, trim them all down to the right height, and then decide how to assemble them. You could do this with anything. Some lavender would be really pretty. You could, of course, paint these in any colors. You could do this with fall foliage back there, and that would look really, really pretty. Gather is often used at fall time. I think it's fine anytime. This is how I'm doing it, but you let your imagination run wild. Now, I wanted to make sure the stems of the pieces weren't going to be seen. So we're going to start by putting a little bit of hot glue and then just pushing down some moss. I'm using whatever tools and scissors I have on hand to tuck them in there so I don't burn myself, and also to just really push it in, okay? So one small layer of moss, and then we're going to trim this down from the back as well as the front. And this way, it's not too hard to do it at the end when we have more layers. Now, we are going to go in and add our white flowers of choice here. You're going to be working from the front back because of how we're doing this. So whatever you're wanting to be seen from the front is what you're going to be doing first, and then the back layers will be done afterwards. I thought that this was going to be easier to attach it to the front than attach it to the back, and afraid that those pieces would be all over the place and not contained and kind of like hard to fit in here. So this is how I'm doing it, and just kind of spacing things out. I tried to vary the heights a little bit. Yeah, so keep looking at it. I'm like, okay, this is looking good. This is looking good. Now we're going to add in our leaves, but the problem with the leaves is they were only attached at the very bottom. So as I trimmed them down so that they weren't too tall, they were all just individual leaves. So I just kind of grabbed 2 or 3 of them, a blob of hot glue, and I just am using this little metal hook tool from the Dollar Tree. You need to use something to press these down because there's really no like stiffness to them, but I'm needing to like pack everything in so that this will all fit together. So whatever you use, just kind of keep that in mind, and we're just going to keep kind of filling this in. And this was so fun. Once all of our greenery was in, I wanted to fill it in with some more moss because I wanted to just make sure that from the front it looked full and you didn't see, the ends and bottoms of everything. So I'm going to pack that in there, and then I'm going to trim that up so that we have no problem piecing this back together. And I'm making sure everything is tucked in the way it needs to be before I put the back on. And then I'm using this super glue, wood glue, I believe is what it is called. And I'm going to put this all along the edge. I just felt like this worked better than hot glue. Hot glue for some things can create kind of a gap, especially if you don't move super fast, because it, as it dries, it's a little bit chunkier. So I'm just smoothing this out with my finger. You could use a paintbrush so that I didn't have a lot oozing out was kind of my goal here. And this will hold really good. And we're just going to place our back onto it, painted side in because that's where it's intended to be. You could go around with a staple gun, I suppose, if you wanted, and staple it in or something like that. But I'm just going to put something heavy on here and let that set up really well. I love this one. I love how this came out. I had so much fun with this. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have one of these pieces laying around from the Dollar Tree that maybe you're going to craft with. I think that would be fun, but super great, fun piece to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, leave me a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up, all the things. Have a great day. See you in the next one. Bye, guys.